You hear it every time someone plays back a recording of you talking, your voice, and your first reaction, almost every single time, is the same. That is not me. That cannot be me. That sounds terrible. You cringe. You cover your face. You might even ask the person next to you to turn it off. And here is the strangest part. Everyone around you is completely unbothered. They just hear you. But you hear something wrong, something off, something almost unrecognizable. Why? The answer starts inside your own skull, literally. Every single time you speak, your voice travels through two completely different pathways before it reaches your brain. The first pathway is the one you already know about. Sound travels through the air, into your ear canal, hits your eardrum, and gets processed. Simple, clean, external. But the second pathway is one most people never think about. Sound also travels directly through the bones in your skull, your jaw, your cheekbones, your cranium itself, and vibrates straight into your inner ear. This is called bone conduction. And bone conduction does something interesting. It naturally amplifies the lower frequencies in your voice. The deeper, richer, fuller tones get boosted. The thinner, higher parts get slightly muted. So, when you are speaking right now, you are not actually hearing your real voice. You are hearing a version of your voice that has been enhanced, deepened, and smoothed out by your own skeleton. You have been listening to a custom-tuned, bass-boosted remix of yourself your entire life. Then someone plays a recording back to you. And for the first time, you hear what everyone else actually hears, the air-conducted version. No bone enhancement, no boosted lows, just the raw acoustic signal your voice makes when it leaves your mouth and travels across a room. It sounds thinner, higher, lighter than you expected, and your brain, which has spent decades hearing the bone-conducted version, immediately flags it as wrong. Dr. Silke Paulman, a psychologist at the University of Essex who studies voice perception, has noted that our emotional reaction to our own recorded voice is one of the most consistent and cross-cultural phenomena in self-perception research. It does not matter where you are from. It does not matter how confident you are. Almost universally, people hear their recorded voice and feel a jolt of discomfort. But here is where it gets more interesting, because the acoustic mismatch is only half the story. The other half is about identity. Your voice is not just sound. It is one of the most personal markers of who you are. The way you talk, your rhythm, your tone, the way your voice rises when you are excited and drops when you are tired, is so uniquely yours that voice recognition technology can identify you with the same reliability as a fingerprint. According to research from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, modern voice biometrics can identify individuals with over 99% accuracy from as little as 3 seconds of audio. Your voice is you. So, when you hear a recording, and it does not match the internal version you have built over a lifetime, it does not just sound wrong acoustically. It feels wrong personally. It is a self-perception gap made audible. A split second where the you that exists in your head does not match the you that exists in the world. And your brain treats that gap like a threat. This connects directly to a concept psychologists call self-discrepancy theory, developed by E. Torrey Higgins at Columbia University in the 1980s. Higgins proposed that psychological discomfort arises when there is a gap between our actual self, who we really are, and our ideal self, who we believe we are or want to be. When those two versions conflict, the emotion that follows is not neutral. It tends to be anxiety, shame, Aversion. Hearing your recorded voice is one of the clearest examples of that gap becoming impossible to ignore. You cannot unhear it. You cannot explain it away. It is just sitting there in the air, being definitively, undeniably different from what you thought. Now, here is the part that should reframe everything. The voice you hate? The thin one, the higher one, the one that makes you want to disappear into the floor. That is the voice that everyone who loves you has been hearing this entire time. Your friends recognize you by it. Your family associates it with comfort and familiarity. People who enjoy your company enjoy it, at least in part, because of that voice. The voice you thought was your voice, the rich, deep, full one. They have never heard that at all. That version exists only for you, inside your own head, delivered privately by your own bones. Research published in the journal Psychonomic Bulletin and Review found that people consistently rate their own voices as less attractive than strangers rate them. We are our own harshest critics when it comes to how we sound, and that bias is almost entirely driven by expectation mismatch, not by any actual deficiency in our voices. In other words, the problem is not your voice. The problem is the gap between your internal model and reality. And reality, in this case, is actually doing fine. There is also a social layer worth understanding. Humans are acutely, almost painfully sensitive to how they come across to others. Social psychologists call this the spotlight effect, the tendency to believe that others are noticing and judging you far more than they actually are. When you hear your recorded voice and feel exposed, part of what you are feeling is the spotlight effect in audio form. You are imagining everyone else listening with the same critical attention that you are giving yourself. They are not. To them, your voice is just your voice. It is background context. It is the familiar sound of you being present. The scrutiny you apply to your own recording is not the scrutiny they apply when they hear you speak. They are listening to what you are saying. You are listening to how you sound saying it. That is a fundamentally different experience of the same audio. Dr. Pamela Dalton, a sensory psychologist at the Monell Chemical Senses Center, has studied how we perceive ourselves across multiple sensory dimensions, and her work consistently points to the same finding. We are far better at tolerating sensory information about others than we are at tolerating it about ourselves. We have higher standards for our own presentation. We notice our own imperfections with a clarity we rarely apply to anyone else. Your recorded voice hits you with that same hypercritical attention. And because the acoustic version does not match the internal version, the discomfort spikes. So, what do you do with this? Most voice coaches and communication researchers suggest the same thing: exposure. The more you hear your recorded voice, the faster the gap between expectation and reality closes. Your brain begins to update its internal model. The acoustic version starts to feel less like a stranger and more like you. The cringe response weakens, not because your voice changes, but because your perception of it does. Some of the most confident public speakers in the world describe the same process. Early in their careers, they could not stand hearing themselves on playback. Then they listened more. Then they listened more. And at some point, the voice in the recording stopped sounding wrong. It just started sounding like them. Because it was always them. Tonight, if someone plays a recording of you talking, you will probably still feel that familiar flicker of discomfort. Your brain has spent your whole life building one version of your voice, and the recording will still present it with a slightly different version. But now you will know exactly what is happening. Your bones have been lying to you, beautifully, privately for your entire life. And the voice everyone else has always known? It was always the real one. You just never had access to it until now. If you like this video and it really relates to you, please like and subscribe to this channel. See you in the next video.